Hi, I'm Miss Waltman and I teach AP Environmental Science, and today my students are going to be talking to us about energy. So their goal today was to answer 2 questions in partners. They had to tell us why the price of gas has decreased, since we're looking at energy resources and how that affects the economy and the global output of different countries. And they needed to tell us what's the relationship between energy development of a country and then when you have like terrorism and piracy, what ties all of these things together. So they're going to be telling us what their research showed them.
The first question, why I was asking why the price of gas has decreased. We did research, and it basically said that the reason gas has decreased was because we had increased supply that we were doing in America. But the thing was, there was a decrease in demand, which that was kind of the reason why we were dropping the prices, because they're not decreasing the production rate. And the thing is, other foreign countries are also selling, and the thing is, in our country, people are also buying it a lot. So now we have competition from foreign countries also.
Okay. Okay, Catalina, could you answer question number 2 for us?
Yes. For an example, I used for the developing countries with the terrorism problem with Saudi Arabia, and ISIS leadership created its own economic structure in the territories it controls based on oil revenue. They transfer these oils in mostly trucks to other countries, and sometimes they use mules, because they're so rebels fighting ISIS when Syria depend on the basic fuel supplies and purchase all illegal oil, which help bend their opponent. And they have a government that values order and control over personal freedom. And this is why the government doesn't fight ISIS, because it's controlling, raising money, it keeps raising.
Gas prices. There is also a weaker growth in global oil demand, which will lead to a lower supply of oil being needed to send around the world. Thanks to fracking in the United States, we have a lot of domestic crude oil, which is also why the prices of crude oil have dropped down.
There has been more supply of it. Another factor is that there's been less hurricane activity in the Gulf, and that's made gas prices decrease for the crude oil. And
I answered the second one. I said the more energy resources a country has, the more developed it will be. For example, the United States has a variety of energy sources, and that is one factor that has led to it to become a world power. And those countries that lack enough energy sources, or that have their energy taken away from them, are usually the undeveloped countries. This is why you see many undeveloped countries with terrorists fighting for more energy sources from other countries. If they have more sources, it will create jobs and lead to the development of the country. In other words, the more energy a country has, the more stable a country is, making it easier to protect the country from terrorism.
I answered number 1, and I said a fundamental reason as to why gas prices have dropped is the fluctuation in the price of crude oil. When crude oil prices go up or down, gas prices will most likely follow. There are also other contributors, such as the kind of blend that different states make. There are seasonal varieties as well as summer and winter gas. Winter gas is usually cheap.
And the increase in oil supply in the U.S., as well as there hasn't been any natural disasters along the Gulf Coast, so oil hasn't really been found.
So I did number 2, and I basically said that energy allows the country to become more developed and provides better standards of living for individual citizens, because with access to things like oil, the country is able to generate revenue, and with things like electricity, people can live better lives. And because of this, they're more likely to turn to terrorist groups, which attract citizens when conditions are bad by providing incentives and promises for better life.
Our research is that the main component that really determines the price of gas is really the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, controlling 40% of the world's oil business. Any decision that the OPEC does, it really affects the whole world greatly. And their refusal to decline in production of oil caused like a boom in overproduction of oil, which led to a supply increase. And in the law of economics, supply increase is never good because you have more of something, but having to sell it for a lower price. And yeah.
Developing countries. Terrorism imposes various economic consequences by affecting foreign direct investment, destroying communities and buildings, and limiting trade. If a developing country loses enough FDI, it can reduce economic growth significantly. Developing countries are at more of a risk for economic catastrophe because they are not financially stable enough to bounce back from a devastating terrorist attack. 9/11 alone cost millions of dollars in damage. Imagine if a third world country experienced something of that measure. It would be hard for the economy to come back completely.
Any price changes in the crude oil, like if it were to go higher or lower, that would affect the price of gas because that's what it's made of. And weak growth in oil demand, bulging supplies, and storms like natural disasters can cripple oil rigs, so that could decrease the price as well. And
Such as terrorism that will provide security and a stable income.
Item number 2, and I said the economy of a country is fueled by energy. The production of energy is what develops countries. If the government system of the country is based on helping the wealthy and neglecting the poor, it can spark up tension. Tension erupting throughout the unwealthy community can lead to terrorism because the poor doesn't have much already, and if the government isn't giving them assistance, they will feel terrorism is the only